you all to the CCD75 Parent Outreach Support Group. We will go ahead and start this meeting at 6:36 p.m. I will start with the interpreters giving their instruction. Spanish interpreters, you have the floor. Please provide your instructions.
Sus instrucciones. Buenas tardes. Good evening. Buenas tardes. Para escuchar esta reunión en español, si así usted lo necesita, por favor marque desde su teléfono el número 347-966-4114. Ingrese el código de conferencia o número PIN 283-127-629, símbolo numeral. Repito, para escucharnos en español, si así usted lo requiere, por favor marque desde su teléfono el número 347-966-4114, ingrese el código de conferencia o número PIN 283-127-629, símbolo numeral. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Mandarin interpreters, you now have the floor to provide your instructions.
Good evening，欢迎大家来到今天晚上的会议。今天晚上会议普通话翻译需要的观众们，请您拨打电话347-966-4114，然后输入会议的密码546610，360井号键，再播报一遍。如果需要中文普通话翻译的家长们，请您拨打电话347-966-4114，然后输入会议的密码546610，360井号键，谢谢。Thank you, I'm done.
Thank you so much. Bangla interpreters, you now have the floor to give your instructions.
শুভ সন্ধ্যা সবাইকে। আপনারা যদি অনুষ্ঠান বাংলায় শুনতে চান, আপনারা ডায়াল করতে পারেন 347-966-4114। নাম্বারটা আবার হলো 347-966-4114। তারপরে আপনারা একটা আইডি নাম্বার দিবেন, ওটা হলো 821-577-440#। আইডি নাম্বারটা আবার হলো 821-577-440#। ধন্যবাদ। Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone for their time and willingness to come out tonight for our 3-part series where we are being supported with Family Kind. And Robin McConaughey, don't get me with the butchering of your last name, my apologies. She has been a super resource and partner with us here. They support parents and caregivers, including those who are divorced, those who are separated, those who are going through overwhelming spaces, stresses, and transitions. And it was really on our hearts to make sure that we provide a space that is for well-being for our parents. So the first portion of our meeting tonight will be supporting emotional wellness and calming your body with stress relief and grounding. With that being said, I would like to hand over the floor to Robin Ann. Thank you again tonight for facilitating. You now have the floor to give your presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited for all of you to be here. I'm very happy about this. And Christy, you're fabulous. So I really appreciate working with you. And we want Family Kind, exactly what Christy said. Our whole goal is to help families and to make life easier for you. So that's what we're planning on doing this evening. So hopefully through this presentation, I can give you a little support. And we know that it's not easy. It's not easy raising children. It's not easy with all of our obligations, but hopefully this can give you a little space and understanding that you deserve this. You deserve to think about yourself, and you deserve to have some type of self-care. So we're going to talk about your emotional self-care, what that might look like, and what it overall wellness would be. So when we talk about parental emotional wellness, it is the ability to manage your own emotions and adapt to change. And we know, being parents, guardians, it changes all the time. Life in general changes a lot. So that emotional wellness is something we're all striving for. It enables us to be better support for our children, emotional health and their development, as well as our own emotional health and development and those around us. So again, very important to just stabilize ourselves in this emotional wellness feeling. So the benefits of guardians having a parental emotional wellness that is stable, it reduces your stress, which enables you to be flexible in stressful situations. It enables you to calm down and respond instead of react, which is what we all aim to do. It reduces our burnout and depression levels. So when we are able to emotionally regulate and calm our nervous system and calm ourselves down and have some type of calm and peace, even if it's just for a few moments, and I'm a parent myself, so I know how difficult it is to have those moments, but it does reduce our burnout. So actually replenishing ourselves gives us more time to be healthier moving forward. Better relationships with our children and any significant others that are in our lives, friends, family, enables us to create a stronger, nurturing relationship with our children because we're calm. So when our nervous systems are calm, when we are emotionally regulated, our children are emotionally regulated. So that's something to really strive for, which I know most of us strive for. The next part for children. So the benefits of us, of the guardians being emotionally well and regulated, better emotion regulation for our children. So they learn to identify and manage their own emotions. They learn to regulate and look at the activators, what's triggering their emotions, and connecting their mind and their body together. So by modeling this, it helps the children to grow into healthier adults. Stronger self-esteem for our children, developing a healthy sense of self and self-confidence. So when they can regulate their emotions and they feel in control and regulating those, they're able to have interpersonal relationships. They work better with others. They feel like they're worthy to be in relationships. And that's something we really strive for them. So again, stronger self-esteem. When we are emotionally well, our children are able to cope. They're able to cooperate. Their behaviors are more manageable. They learn to deal with stress in a healthy way. They learn to deal with difficult emotions in a healthy way, instead of these maladaptive behaviors, these negative behaviors like drinking, aggressive behavior, violence. This is the opposite of that. This gives them a calm feeling that they know that they can get through these feelings and they can get through the stress with our help. Stronger social skills. It is proven from some research, lots of research actually, that children who have emotionally stable parents or guardians will also be children who have empathy, and they're curious, and they have that social emotional IQ that is much higher. So they're more mindful of other people, and which is something that really helps them in interpersonal relationships. And better decision making. So when children are emotionally well, because their parents are emotionally well, it allows them to make better choices, healthier choices for them. So they just won't follow the crowd. They'll do what's best for them with our guidance. So how can you improve your emotional wellness? Lots of guardians ask me this. It's very difficult to do for a lot of us because we just don't have the time. But I always tell guardians that we're worth it. We are worth the time. All of you deserve some time to yourself and to kind of get yourself together. So practicing healthy coping strategies, try mindfulness, which we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks, breathing exercises, singing, anything that makes you feel calmer, even if it's just for a few seconds, even if it's for a few moments. That's what we're striving for. We're not asking you to sit there for an hour and be calm, because we know that's just not realistic. Be kind to yourself. I think this is the hardest part of a parental emotional wellness. It's really difficult for guardians not to judge themselves, not to have the parental guilt about the way they parent, about the way they don't parent. So really being kind and having grace, self-grace, and this is something Christy and I talked about, just having that self-grace and understanding that you are going to make mistakes. We all make them. We are going to have ruptures and yell and scream and not have enough time, but we can repair them. And we have to have self-patience. So again, over the next few weeks, this mini-series is hopefully going to help you with that. Channel energy in healthy ways. So find activities that make you feel good, even if you can get it in a few moments a day, or every other day. If it's reading, if it's taking a walk, if it's just sitting on the couch and hanging out with your family, whatever that might be. Ask for support, talk to loved ones about how you're feeling. How are you feeling? Reach out to people who can support you, those people who are really there for you, who are going to listen, where you know that they have your back. That's really difficult, I think, sometimes to find. So again, I think this is a very safe place to do that, which is wonderful. Benito, you have your hands up. Did you have a question?
I just want to ask you, please slow down a little bit for interpretation. Yes,
of
please
course.
slow down a little bit.
Thank you. I do
Thank
talk
you
very
so
quickly.
much.
Of course. I apologize. I do speak quickly, so I will slow down. Okay. All right. So understanding stress and emotional regulation. Parental stress is a psychological response to the demands of parenting and your perception of your ability to meet those demands. So really what that means is that how do you feel you parent well? How do you deal with your emotions? How do you regulate them? So that's really the big part here. When you're feeling very stressed out from just all the everyday parenting, that is typical parenting stress. But what happens is we start to worry about, we didn't get that done, or we didn't do that the right way, or our children aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. And the stress heightens. It gets quicker, more intense, more frequent. And then our self-efficacy as parents starts to slide down. And that's when anxiety and depression and even some aggressive behavior comes in. Parental stress is a very distinct stress from any other life stress, because we have all the other life stresses involved in us, right? So financial, academic, work, everyday life, transportation, whatever it might be. But now on top of all of that, we have parental stress, worrying about the well-being of our little ones, the ones we love so very much. That comes with a heavy, heavy weight, a lot of pressure that if you're not a guardian, you won't really understand. So I'm sure all of you understand that. And Benito, I hope I'm going slow enough. Let me know. Okay. Okay. So understanding your own stress and how to emotion regulate. So a lot of guardians will say to me, well, I have to control my emotions or I have to ignore my emotions. That's not how we do it. So when we control our emotions, we're really just putting a Band-Aid on it. We're just kind of putting a cork in like a wine bottle. And then if you shake it, or a soda bottle, and then you shake it, what happens is it explodes. And that's the difference between controlling your emotions and regulating your emotions. So when we talk about emotional regulation, we talk about understanding the emotion that you're feeling as the guardian. How are you feeling? You're feeling angry, you're feeling sad, you're feeling frustrated. Dealing with that emotion, accepting it, being aware of it, and then working it through. And how do you do that? And who do you do that with? That's really what emotion regulation is. And that's really also modeling for our children the best way to deal with their emotions, to navigate their emotions, not to ignore them or dismiss them in any other way. So when we talk about parental stress, it impacts our bodies. So if some of you have headaches or body aches or chronic diseases or any digestive system, any of the body ailments, majority of them could be due to your stress. Yes, of course, get a doctor to look at you. However, a lot of research is showing that our minds and bodies are so connected. So the more stress we have as parents, the more difficult it really is for us to kind of reduce that stress. But it does take a toll on our bodies. It also takes a toll on our mental health. We're more irritable, possibilities of concentration issues, mood swings, from sad to angry to depressed to happy, anxiety, depression falls into that. So anything mental that's causing us to have a difference in our personality would fall there. Often impacting parenting abilities and negative affecting children's development. So again, if you are not feeling calm enough to parent well, then you might not parent well. Sometimes we make choices that are not healthy for our children, or we are a little bit aggressive with our children. And then what happens is that vicious cycle. So now we feel bad, right? That regret, that shame, that guilt, that we treated our children that way, or we didn't listen to our child, or we didn't handle the situation well. And that starts to trickle down. What it does is it causes us more stress. So recognizing our own triggers is really, really important. So I like to use the word activators instead of triggers. I think triggers actually does trigger people and makes people feel worse. Activators makes you understand that there are things that our children are going to do. If we're just talking about parenting, there is a sound your child may make, or a million times you have to ask your child to do something over and over. Those will activate us. We need to understand, how do they activate us? Our bodies are always going to give us a sign, but a lot of times we ignore those signs, especially as guardians. We're running around trying to do a million things at once, and it's really, really difficult to kind of tune into our own bodies. But when we tune into our own bodies and we have that mindful observation and understand, well, I'm feeling really tight in my chest, or I'm really, really feeling my stomach is overwhelmed, I'm feeling really just tense overall. Usually it's because of some stressor, some activator. And we want to kind of tune into that. And I can say, well, you know what? My daughter cries all the time when it's time to go to school. That activates me. That makes my body really tense. So if my body's telling me I'm tense, it's telling me that I have to take a moment. I have to pause. And that's the biggest thing we need to do, is to pause. So we have to note those times when we're feeling angry, frustrated, or overwhelmed, and try to tie it and identify what is the behavior that's happening. So when I talk to guardians about this, I'm very strong about that. We're not with the behavior for the child. We all try to focus on the behavior because it's just right in front of us. But if we take a moment, recognize our own body, what our stressors are, what are our activators, take that moment and pause, recognize them and be aware of them. So my daughter's crying, that activates me. That makes me feel angry. That makes me feel overwhelmed. Then I'm going to take a moment, calm myself down, which we're going to talk about that again in the next few weeks of how to do that. And then I can calm my daughter down, and I can look behind that behavior and see that actually there's an emotion there. There's something that she experienced that she needs help with, that she's feeling some way about, that she's expressing in a behavior that I don't like, that bothers me, but she's trying to communicate to me. So that's really the biggest reason why we have to activate, look for our activators. The next one I have on there is keeping a journal. This isn't as realistic for most guardians. It's really hard for us to sit down and write or type it into our phones or whatever you have. But if you can even just do this once in a while, it does help. The idea of writing or typing really gets the ideas of the stress out, and it's not stuck in your nervous system. So that's something we're going to be talking about the next few weeks, about how all of this stress gets stuck in our nervous system, and it does change the way that we parent. So I ask all of you, and none of you have to answer this question, but so think about this. These are some kind of reflection questions for us as guardians. What situations cause you the most stress? So we're talking parental. So we kind of know what the everyday stressors are. But as a parent, as a guardian in your home, what stressors hit you the most that you feel like with your child? Is it morning, trying to get them off to school and you're trying to get off for to start your day? Is it meal times? Is it bedtime? Is it some type of developmental stage that they're going through? Something to think about. The next question to maybe think about and to kind of connect the two. How does stress show up in your body? So I always, when I work with guardians, I always say, where do you feel it in your body or around your body? A lot of people feel it in their stomachs, their back, their head. Those are kind of the more common places. I've had guardians tell me that they feel it in their shoulder. They feel it in their knee. So wherever it shows up in your body, you want to recognize that, because that's a warning sign that your stress level is here and we need to pause. We need to de-escalate and bring it down a moment. So some stress management techniques to actually do that. Number one, taking care of ourselves. So most guardians don't eat a healthy meal. They don't eat enough. They don't sleep enough. They don't get enough movement in there. Now, you don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to go, play a sport or anything like that. When we talk about exercise, we talk about movement, just getting some movement in there. That's different than your job. A lot of people have a job that moves them a lot. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about maybe taking a walk in fresh air, or maybe just taking a walk with your children. So eating as healthy as possible, getting enough rest, which we know most of us don't have time to do, or we feel like we don't have time to do that. But those things are very, very important, because what they do is that's the foundation for our nervous system. And that foundation, once it's healthy enough, then when stress does come into play, our nervous system is more adapt to help it through and de-escalate us instead of escalate us. The self-care. So when we talk about self-care, a lot of parents will say, well, I took a shower today, or I was able to get dressed, quietly without my children screaming and yelling. That's not really self-care. That's kind of things we have to do, right? We're supposed to do, keep our hygiene or whatever, get ready for the day. When we think about self-care, we would love for guardians to really start thinking about, what do you enjoy? Do you enjoy having coffee with a friend? Do you enjoy taking a walk? Do you enjoy listening to music on your own? Do you enjoy reading? Whatever that might look like for you, it's different for everybody. But that's really the self-care. So to try to get that in, which is very, very difficult. I do realize that. I have my own problems with that, but that's something where we can have a community help and friends help, where, okay, it's Jane's day today, and then Rolando is going to tomorrow. He'll take the children, and then, he'll have his self-care day on another day. So it's really working kind of together in a community, which Family Kind does offer, by the way. We do offer that kind of opportunity, and playing with your children. There's tons of research that shows, and I know a lot of times parents don't feel like they want to play, they don't have time to play, but play is one of the best stress relievers that you can actually have, because it does relieve oxytocin, which is the connection chemical. And that chemical helps us calm down. It helps relax our nervous system, and it helps us want to be around people. And it soothes us. It's kind of that self-soothing. And obviously endorphins, which also helps relax our nervous system when we play. So emotion regulation. This is a very crucial role in our parenting over well-being. So when parents are very stressed, they cannot emotion regulate. They cannot control or regulate their emotions. And then what happens usually is we react as parents. A guardian might yell at their child instead of calmly speaking to their child and asking them, what's really going on? How come you're not putting your shoes upstairs like I asked you? So that emotion regulation calms the nervous system. It helps the parent whenever the guardian is overstressed, or there's a lot of demands, or things are not going well, things are not going as planned, as we know happens more often than not. So understanding to recognize, be aware of that emotion, accepting it is the big one, and not ignoring it actually reduces stress, and it reduces the incidences of aggression or outbursts from the guardians. It leads to a positive interactions with our children. So when we're less stressed, the children are less stressed. They mirror us, whether it's our behavior, but also the nervous system. Scientifically, biologically, our nervous systems are mirrored by our children. So the children around us, whether you have your own children or you work with children, they are mirroring that. So that's just how humans are created. And the research is actually very interesting. Your ability to regulate your emotions directly impacts how you provide and supportive and nurturing care. So I'm sure you all can agree that when we're calm, we parent better, right? We're calmer with our children. We're more understanding. It's easier to make healthier choices for them and ourselves. And the connection is there. There's just that wonderful, wonderful, warm connection. It contributes significantly to the child's overall well-being because now you're a safe haven consistently. It's not just when you're not stressed, right? Even when you're stressed, you're able to show your children that I can bring it down a little bit. I'm stressed, but I'm going to calm down a little bit so I can help you with whatever you need help with in that moment, which is really important for the children. So they know that you're there for them. There will be ruptures. There'll be times when we lose our stuff and we scream and we yell, but we repair it. We take a moment, we show the children how we calm down, how we emotionally regulate, and we explain to them, you know what, I got really angry, and I'm really, really sorry that I got angry. I got angry because I was getting frustrated that your shoes are always in the walkway. And then we talk about it, and then you help them emotionally regulate and make them understand that it's okay to have emotions. We just have to regulate them and express them and work through them. So grounding. Grounding is a wonderful way to help our nervous system calm down. And it's actually easier than most people think it is. There's lots of different ways to do it. So grounding your nervous system is a way to calm your body by using activities that strengthen our parasympathetic nervous system. So that nervous system is the nervous system that kind of has the fight or flight nervous system, right? So if we're getting stressed, we want to we get activated. So we want to either move away from the situation, ignore it, or we kind of want to be aggressive and fight and kind of like deal with it. What we rather do is go to what they call rest and digest system. So that's what the parasympathetic nervous system really is. It's about calming the nervous system and responding to our children instead of having this initial reaction, this impulsive reaction. It helps you feel more centered and resilient. And you'll know when you're in this. This is when you're really tired and you're really relaxed. Maybe you're on the couch or you're in bed and you're kind of calmer. That's usually when that system is more activated, which is a good thing because it calms you and it regenerates you. So how do you do this? How does one ground themselves? Calming this type of the nervous system, exercises causes that fight or flight, like I had said. So we want to strengthen it. So we want to get down to the bottom. So grounding really is about really hitting home with the earth. Or in the moment. So there's lots of different grounding techniques that we'll be using and talking about over the next few weeks, but in particular for today, there's environmental grounding. So what environmental grounding does is it gets you into the here and the moment. Because what happens when we're stressed, especially from our parenting situations, what happens usually is we get so overwhelmed, it kind of takes us out of the here and now. And we're feeling like we can't do this. It becomes way too overwhelming. We don't have time for it. We don't want to do it, whatever the case may be. So the grounding brings us back into the moment and back into the parent that we are, the guardian that we are, that can handle this and can handle this well. So grounding your nervous system is crucial because it reclaims the calm and present stressful parenting situations. Instead of reacting, again, like I had said, we respond with care, with understanding, with patience. Foster a more supportive and nurturing environment for your children overall. So that grounding kind of keeps you in the moment. So you're not thinking about dinner later. You're not thinking about what happened last week. You're not thinking about the meeting you have at work. You're thinking about the task at hand, which is attending to your child's needs. And the research is showing, and I can tell you just from all the years I've done this, over 30, that when we do attend to our children, we spend less time parenting right, than all the tantrums and all the fights and all the coercive control and all of that. We wind up spending more time, healthier time, with our children instead of all the wasted time and the frustration. Promotes positive emotional development for everybody, but particularly your child, because you're grounded, you're calm in the moment, then your child's experiencing you for that fabulous person that you are. Improves the overall parent-child relationship by enabling better emotional regulation and response to your child's needs. So again, it's not about reacting to the behavior, it's about connecting. And everything about parenting is connecting. How do we connect in a healthy manner with our children? And that connection, once we're connected, we can figure out what's really going on. What is this behavior teaching me? What is this behavior communicating to me as the parent? Why do they need this? And when we can connect with our children that way, our parenting actually becomes a lot easier. Yes, this takes time. I know that. And a lot of you are probably like, this is not going to work, but it does work. And we are there to guide you as well. There to support you any way that you need to get through that. So some basic grounding activities, deep breathing. So inhale slowly through your nose, expanding your abdomen and your chest, then exhaling completely through your mouth. I'm going to put a little disclaimer here for the breathing. This doesn't work for everyone right away. I usually ask guardians to do something else first before you try breathing. Sometimes when we focus on our breathing, it makes us more anxious. It makes us a little bit more frustrated. So just something to think about. Maybe this might not be the one for you. That's why I give you a few choices. Earthing. Touch your body to the earth by walking in the sands, which is a little bit more difficult for some of us, laying on the grass or putting our hands in water. Water is a wonderful thing. You could turn on the faucet. You could jump in the shower. I love ice packs, just using that different kind of temperature as well. But water, anything, if you can touch the earth, it actually calms the nervous system. And it helps the nervous system kind of, is that, helps the nervous system calm down a bit. So you can just use, and you could use this for the children as well. But if you put your hands in ice cold water or use an ice pack, it does help you ground yourself into your nervous system, into the here and now. Using your five senses, we call this five senses grounding, which I'm going to talk about in a few moments. I'm going to hold on for that one. Progressive muscle relaxation. So this one you can do as you're sitting there listening to this presentation. You can do this at work. You can do this while you're, sitting in the class with your children, parent-teacher night, something along those lines, or even if you're sitting watching TV with your children. Really what it is if you tense your muscles. So you tense your arm muscles, hold it for 5 seconds, then release. Tense your arm muscles again for 5 seconds, then release. The idea about this, and you go through all your body, so from your head to your toe or toe to your head, whichever you're comfortable with, and you're tightening your muscles for 5 seconds or more if you choose to, and you're releasing it. Something simple that you can really do on the train, you can do it on the subway, on the bus. It actually helps release the tension that's stuck in your nervous system from parental stress. So parental stress gets stuck in the nervous system more than any other stress, because as parents, we're on 24/7. We never really get a break from it. So as guardians, we need to kind of have something we can do at our desks, right? We can do on the bus, we can do on the subway. This is something that you can do. And it really only takes maybe 30 seconds if you choose to do it that way. But it does release the stress. And you will find a difference in this. I haven't met anybody, unless any of you want to try and tell me otherwise, that has said that this hasn't really worked. If you do it consistently, it does absolutely work. Body scans is another thing you can do, maybe sitting at your desk or on the subway. Just kind of check in with your own body. And that's what's really important about grounding. It helps us understand, okay, so I have a headache. Is the headache because of the weather? Is it because I had a stressful meeting at work? Or is it because my parenting stress is just through the roof and I'm kind of overwhelmed? What really is it? So if it's not a medical condition, obviously, see your doctors. But if it's something that is some parental, you can kind of check in. And you can kind of body scan and say, okay, so I'm feeling it in my head. So what can I do for my head? Maybe the next one, you can get a cold compress, put it on your forehead, put it on the back of your neck. We have to be in tune with our bodies as guardians, because our bodies are communicating to us, we need a break. We need somebody to help us. We need to figure something out. And like I had said, if you don't have anybody, if you feel like this group is incredible, what City Council offers, we also can help you. So moving on, if you're really feeling stressed and you do feel it in your head, or you're feeling like you want to crawl out of your skin, because a lot of times that's what stress makes us feel like. We need to crawl out of our skin. temperature change is really important. Some people think the warm compress is really good. That's why I have it there. I have found over the years that most of the families that I work with like the cold. So my suggestions, like I had said before, running your hands under cold water, ice cubes work really well, drinking ice cold water if possible, ice packs or anything cold. Sometimes I take something from your freezer that's, you can smash up like peas or something, frozen vegetables, and put it on the back of your neck. Put it on the back of your wrists, back of your knees. There are certain parts of us that are called trigger parts. Those are the parts that actually will calm your nervous system down in seconds when you change the temperature. The cold always changes the temperature. Now that it's freezing cold outside, open a window, take in some fresh air. It does regulate the system really, really well. And again, those grounding techniques, you can get them into your day. And if you're having trouble figuring out how to get them into your day, I can absolutely help you with that, because over the years, I've come up with a few tricks. This one you can get into your day pretty easily once you practice it. So this is called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sensory grounding. It's one of my favorites, and all of these, again, you can use with your children. 5 things you see in the environment. So if you're sitting at work, you're sitting at home, you're sitting out on the playground, or you're with friends, wherever, and you're feeling a little anxious, you're feeling a little stressed, you look for 5 things in the environment that you can name, 5 things that you actually see. Then you move on, find 4 things that you can touch. Maybe your clothing, maybe the seat that you're sitting on, maybe the window, something along those lines. Then you move on to 3 things that you can hear. Listen for different sounds and pick out 3. 2 things you can smell. What do you smell in the environment? Maybe you smell somebody baking something. Maybe someone brought in food from the deli down the street, something along the line. What are you smelling? And then 1 thing you can taste. This one's a little trickier. Sometimes you don't always have something you can taste. That's why it's the one. But that works really well. The reason this works is because, again, it's bringing you back into the moment. When we are stressed, as parents in particular, or just with our days in life in general, we are not really in the moment. We're in the stress. We're in the turmoil, this tornado, this hurricane of stress. This will bring us back to the moment and kind of give us some type of peace for a few moments, so we can react, right? Instead of, actually just screaming and yelling, we can kind of think about, okay, what's my response going to be? How am I going to calm myself down to be my best self? The other thing there, when we talk about taste, if you do get more stressed and a lot of stress, a lot of times mints or sour candy, something along those lines, actually reduces stress. Again, it's like a little jolt to the nervous system. Anything bitter can be also a jolt to the nervous system. So you don't really have time to do any of this, but you're feeling stressed, you can try one of those tactics. They usually work. Important points to remember about grounding: practice regularly, which I know is really, really difficult. So we have to think about this in a really realistic manner. So practicing regularly might be that, I'm brushing my teeth, so I'm going to practice my grounding. I'm going to look for 5 things in the environment and where I'm brushing my teeth. I'm going to look for 4 things that I hear. Do it where you're doing something else. Maybe every day for this week, moving forward, you practice one of these techniques while you're brushing your teeth. Maybe you practice it while you're getting dressed, walking to the subway. Something to just feel like it's part of your routine. It should never feel like it is a burden or it's another thing added, because you deserve it. And we're trying, at Family Kind, we're trying to change the conversation where guardians deserve time. They deserve to be supported, and they deserve to have these moments of grounding and feeling less stressed. Find what works for you. So again, if it's reading a book, if it's, asking a friend, can we switch off every Tuesday? You take the children, I take the children. So then we have some time to ourselves and do what we need to do to kind of have our own self-care. Seek professional help. Family Kind we offer a sliding scale. We offer, I will do things pro bono myself. You have this wonderful group. Really reach out if you need referrals. We have them as well. It's really important to have that village, that community, to help us, because we deserve it and you deserve it. We're there to help you with anything that you need, if it's referral or even just coming to see us. Stress release strategies. Some of these you can do pretty, regularly if possible, once you get into a routine. Some of them you might have to kind of plan. But practice deep breathing. Again, with that disclaimer that sometimes the breathing doesn't work for some people. You might want to calm your nervous system down first and then try the breathing. Take short mindful breaks throughout the day. I know it's almost impossible to take breaks. Myself, I find it difficult. But what I try to do is, even if it's a 30-second break, even if it's like I'm transitioning from one job to the other, if I'm transitioning to helping my children with something, then I'm transitioning to do a report for work. I take that 30 seconds to a minute to kind of just think about, okay, so how's my nervous system feeling? What am I thinking right now? Maybe I just want to sit in quiet for 30 seconds. 30 seconds can actually mean a lot to most of us. Engage in the physical activity, that movement that I had said before. Again, if you can't get out and take a walk, just stretch, stand up and stretch at your desk. Or if you're on the subway and you're cramped, just kind of stretch your legs, roll your ankles out or something like that. Dancing, I know a lot of families don't want to really do this, but dancing is one of the best movements that you can actually do for your nervous system. It releases all the wonderful chemicals that keep us healthy and keep us calm and regulated. And it's something that's a wonderful, wonderful stress reliever, especially if you do it with your children. Using the grounding techniques that we talked about. So even if you're feeling just stress every day, grounding techniques work for stress. They work really well also for anxiety. I use them. I'm a mental health counselor as well. So in my private practice, I use this a lot. It helps my clients a lot. They really feel like, they're feeling that body. They're going to crawl out of the skin. Their breathing is getting heavy. They're feeling disoriented or dizzy, whatever the case may be. They use one of the techniques we talked about tonight, and they do calm down, at least for those moments. So they can kind of make a plan. Okay, what's my plan of action? What made me so stressed? Do I need to reach out to somebody? What is my plan moving forward? The gratitude journal. Again, it's really, really hard to kind of make time for anything like this. But even if you just, before you close your eyes at night, even if you think about one thing during the day that you had gratitude for. I like for guardians to do this about themselves. We of course have gratitude for our children and the people around us, but it's really important to have gratitude for yourself. You're doing such a wonderful, hard task, wonderful task of being a parent. But in this day and age, it's really, really hard to parent. So maybe before you close your eyes, before you go to sleep, just have some gratitude for yourself and what you've done for that day and how wonderful you are as a parent. Drink water, always. Water is a wonderful stress reliever. People don't realize it. So I always tell guardians, have a bottle of water, have your Hydro Flask or whatever you want to have that you can use all the time, and always have it with you. Because when in doubt, when you're feeling stressed, the water, even the idea of drinking, removes some of the stress from your nervous system. So if you have a few sips of water when you're feeling stressed or anxious, that definitely helps. Obviously, eating healthy. Boundaries. This is a lot of times parents don't know how to do this. Guardians don't know how to do this so well. Set boundaries with yourself. Learn how to say no gracefully and learn what works for you, but also set boundaries for your children. You have to know what works for them and what works for you. It's great to have your children doing a lot of different things, but if that's not working for you, if it's causing you stress, it's something you might want to think about. And manage expectations. It's really hard not to have high expectations, especially with social media. Communities are great, but sometimes it makes us feel pressured that we're not doing enough as guardians. So just really understanding yourself and your family, what works for you, and how to manage those, and surrounding yourself with people who can respect that and support you in those expectations and those boundaries. Any hobbies or enjoyable activities for yourself as well as for your family are really, really important, because the more you're having fun, the calmer moments you have, those more playful moments that you have, actually is a stress reliever in itself. So that's why it's so important to make time for those moments that you can do that and connect with supportive people. Social media is wonderful, but we all know we have to be careful with that, because we can connect with a group that kind of antagonizes, right, and escalates our stress and our frustrations and difficulties as guardians. We want to make sure we're meeting with people that are supportive and understanding, that are listening to us, where there's reciprocity, where I'm here for you, you're here for me, and we're working through it together and we're moving forward. We're not just sitting there kind of just venting and not helping one another. Sometimes I've noticed over the years that gets really damaging for guardians, and their self-esteem comes down and their parenting does change because of it. So I love this poem because I think a lot of guardians feel this way. So give yourself grace. I'm doing the best I can with the resources I have at the time. Some days I get it right. Some days I knock it out of the park. And sometimes it's just not happening. We have to be able to accept that. It's really hard for us to accept that we just didn't do a great job, right? I really messed up that situation with my son. I did everything wrong. But if we stick to that and we stay stuck on that we did everything wrong, what happens is our stress level goes up. Our shame and guilt, parental shame is escalating now, especially in our country. So we have to be very, very careful that we don't do that to ourselves. So I ask you all to please just have the grace and the patience with yourself, and that will definitely translate to your children. So if you do need any more support, what we do offer at Family Kind, we offer multiple programs and services. We offer parenting children with diverse needs. So anyone on any type of special needs, neurodivergent, physical challenges, anything across the board. We have courses and classes and support groups and one-on-one sessions, universal parenting. So everything from emotion coaching to tech issues to problems with behavior. We have tons and tons of courses and support for you. Trauma-informed parenting we also offer. So any family who's been traumatized by anything, children who've been traumatized, whatever that trauma might be, we have professionals that can help. We also have for co-parents, a certified co-parenting class. So if there is any couples that are divorcing or separating and co-parenting is becoming a little challenging, we do offer a course in that to help you through that. And the individual parent education, that's one-on-one sessions. So if a support group or one of these classes is great, but you really want something more personalized, we also offer that. So you can meet with one of our educators, just you and that person, and talking about what really works for you. What do you need as a guardian to help you be your best self? We also offer divorce and family mediation if you choose, if that is something your family is going through. We also run a heart group. This is relational trauma support group. All of these are virtual, but if you need anything in person, we are willing to come in person. But these last few are all support groups for helping people who are in those situations. So if you're an adult who has experienced any type of divorce, we can help you with that. And here's our contact information. I'm sure Christy can give it to you, or she can also give you my email if you want to just contact me personally if there's any questions you have or any other support we can offer you. Does anybody have any questions? I know I hope, Benito, it wasn't too fast. A little bit. Sorry. I'm sorry. I tried to slow down, Benito. Was there any questions? Christy, was there anything in the chat that I missed?
There is nothing in the chat so far. What I will do now is thank you for this level of the presentation. At this point, I am going to end the recording so that we may have space for parents to openly speak in confidentiality.
Thank you.